nasty little. Okay, no, but seriously, all jokes aside, if you're excited, maybe you're really excited to see Little, or maybe you're just a little excited. It's a fun comedy. It is absolutely, I couldn't stop laughing. So to give you a premise of what the movie's about, maybe you haven't seen the trailer, and if you haven't, where have you been? It's basically about this adult woman who's had to go through quite a few, I guess, typical teenage problems as she's going into her like phases of growing up. And as an adult, she's basically a jerk. She's a jerk, she's a bully, she's just mean to people, and it's generally so she can protect herself. And what ends up happening is she's rude, and this one little girl's like, psh, like, why are you like that, yo? Like, what's your problem? And she ends up telling this girl, like, well, I got rich and I got big. So that's her main selling point, you know, like, well, because I'm big, now I can do whatever I want, which unfortunately is a very common concept amongst people, where people think, as long as I'm big, I can do whatever I want to other people, and you can't. So what ends up happening is that this little girl's like, oh yeah, psh, well, I wish, wait. I actually got this from Tree Blocks, and if you haven't checked out my Toy Fair Tree Blocks, you need to go check it out, because this thing is awesome. They have a bunch of cool stuff there too. But anyway, so the little girl pulls out her wand, right, because she's a magician. She's all like, I wish you were little. And she mostly wants her to be little because she wants to check her, because she's like, yo, what's your problem? Most fairies keep their wands in their back pocket. Stop judging me. And so she ends up waking up, and she's a 13-year-old girl all over again. She's now going back to middle school, having to deal with all the same trauma that she had to deal with as a kid, as we all did. Now she has to learn a very valuable lesson. So now she's leaning on her assistant, April, who's now running the company through her, but also without her at the same time, because now she has to go to school. Now the reason why she has to go to school is because she was so rude and nasty to so many people. Her neighbor gets involved, and because she sees her as a child, instead of them trying to figure out what happened or how to fix the situation, she ends up calling child services, and child services shows up like that. And she's like, either you go to jail or you don't, and this kid goes to school. So now that's how she basically ends up in school, because now everyone's all involved in her life. Now, it was very heartwarming to watch the whole thing. So now I'm going to talk about, now that you understand the premise of the film, I'm going to talk about the best parts about the my favorite thing about the film. And I need all movie creators, producers, directors, anyone who does editing, I need you to know this. The best part to me about the film was that everything I enjoyed about it was not in the trailer. It is maddening that you spend money on these tickets, and then I feel like I've seen everything and all the good parts are in the trailer. That's not cool. That is not cool. So yeah, oh my God, Little, you get a big round of applause for that one. Trust me, I appreciate that so much. You've got no idea. So, all jokes aside, what I also want to talk about is the fact the performances. So now, everyone's performance was awesome. When I say Homegirl was like a nasty, see you next Tuesday, like, she played it so tough that the mean comments that she would make to other people, like telling them like sad in regards to like how your parents felt the day you were born, like those kind of like one-liners, you're like, oh, whew. Like, is this woman Satan? Did I see her in Sabrina? Like, what is going on? Like, is she the Dark Lord? Like, that's how straight up evil this woman is. Like, she's so over the top, you can't help but to go, now her role, the way she performed it so well, playing as Jordan, the adult Jordan, what made it so phenomenal about her performance is everyone knows one person who is intentionally that nasty to other people. Everyone has known a boss that intentionally nasty to their employees. Everyone knows at least one person who is actually like that. And guess what? If you don't know that person, I think that's what was so great about her performance. April, that character, she was a relatable character because you either have that person as your friend or you are that person who's at that company. Someone who's not taken very seriously. You got great ideas, but you're being pushed around just because you're just an assistant. But yeah, it's like, oh, but I depend on you. Like that kind of thing. She was also friendly. She was also very loving. She was also very funny. She had her quirky side. You know, she did these little weird things like that people do when they're talking to their crush, but not really talking to their crush out loud, but they say things accidentally out loud. If you're that clumsy person, you are April. And I thought that was absolutely great. I loved the background actors, everyone who even worked in the office. When that boss rolled through the door and they were like, oh yes, I'm so, like everyone just like running from screaming for their lives. That was phenomenal. Like there was this one, it's one of my favorite scenes. So it's a very quick scene. They're singing happy birthday to an employee. They're like, oh my god, happy birthday. Like they're having a birthday moment. Okay, blow out the candles. And the boss comes whipping around and without a second thought, I'm not kidding, everyone picks up the cake and runs away and clears the scene really quickly because they don't want to be around the boss. That is what I thought was absolutely funny because I've done that. Personal inside joke. So that's what I have to say that I did enjoy. Now the little girl. Yo. The sass that was coming out of her performance from having to be a 38-year-old successful businesswoman, and so hardcore sassy, to having to accept the fact that maybe she's going to be a kid forever, to accepting the fact that there are some lessons that she never got the chance to learn properly, I thought is what made it so phenomenal. Because the sass on this girl is what made it so great. So one of the other scenes that I liked, because I also liked it from the trailer, but there's a couple of cuts in the trailer that I didn't see. So one of the scenes that I liked was when she takes her to school and the security guard's like, we have a BMW situation, we have a black mama whooping. That was funny because they aimed it to, it's just the way that it was, like it gave you a flashback. Like if you would get your butt beat, you don't know what I'm talking about. Like if you were just sent to your room with your Xbox, you don't know what I'm talking about. Go change your channel, go find something else. But it was funny because when she finally spanks her, she's like, spank your kids, and it kind of just gave you back a reminiscing memory of like maybe that fun time. It wasn't fun at the moment, but whipping that you got, but like it was done very well. So now, the other thing that I enjoyed about the cast was the fact that, here's the kicker. Now, here's where it's going to get a little weird. It's an all-black cast, but it is not targeted to stereotypical black people. So here's a kicker for some people that may not realize this, and there are people who do realize this. Black people come of all flavors. White people come of all flavors. Like Russian is not the same flavor as Irish or as white American. Same thing for black. You could be African, you could be Jamaican, you could be South American, you could be Indian, you could be Southeast Asian. There's so many different flavors. We all come in different flavors. So when it comes to American movies, often what I find is that whenever it's supposed to be a all black cast, you know, aside from Black Panther and a couple of other films, obviously, it seems like with black films, there's an expectation even from other black people that you're supposed to act a certain way. You're supposed to find certain characters relatable. That's what's supposed to happen. And it's annoying and frustrating for me because I'm like this quirky, like little chinky-eyed Oreo, and people question like, what is that? And when I open up my mouth, I've received this whole like, you're not really black, you're like So when I watch these films that are aimed and targeted like, this is what black culture really is, opposed to focusing on other things that could be much more important, I get frustrated and I find the material to be extremely unrelatable. That's not what happened here for Little. Now let me explain to you. When Mezco took me out on this date, I had to ask them because I had already gotten that impression from the trailer, and I was like, I need to see this movie. I need to see this movie, and that's what made it so great. So I really, really did enjoy the fact that it was a diverse cast. It didn't feel like it was a white movie. It didn't feel like it was a black movie. It felt like it was a fun movie. It was a comedy movie, which is to me the absolute best and most important thing. I like being able to see a black cast, that the lead actors were focused on such strong things. Like, she's running her own tech company. Her assistant is like this super smart, you know, nerdy, quirky girl, but she doesn't have to be nerdy cosplay, you know. And yet you have her here in middle school, being this sassy, strong, female lead in general. And I thought that was absolutely pretty wicked and pretty cool. That for me, like, was, like I said, like, really heartwarming for me. Now the the other scenes that I thought were funny is her hitting on the teacher, because that had me in tears. Her having to relive her middle school years of you know, of the bully and dealing with, you know, the popular girl, and how they can treat you, and how it's social suicide to do certain things, and how people judge you. And what ends up happening is that this film is predominantly a very positive, uplifting message that sends across the board, whether you're a kid or an adult, because both can actually enjoy this comfortably. Is the fact that when you're little, you're sort of exploring to be yourself. That's what you're doing. You're exploring, you're getting to know yourself. You're like, oh my god, you're so curious. The world and the adults beat that out of you. Let the kid in you live, let it thrive, let it be alive in you, let it identify who you are. You don't necessarily have to fit into the cliques. You don't need to fit into the groups. You just friends with people who are good people, or people who just have good intentions. Like my rule book. So that was one of the things that I really did enjoy. Like, it had a positive message. It wasn't like in your face kind of message. It was just very well understood, and it just left you smiling at the end of the film. So I definitely would recommend this. I think this is a great film, whether you're an adult, you're taking your mom, you're taking your daughter, whatever it is that you're doing with this film, whoever you're taking, it is a fun film to just sit back and enjoy. I also enjoyed, which is in the trailer, so they kind of give it to you, when the guy's like doing his like sexy dancing and stuff, and the little girl's sitting there, and he's like, oh my god, no, he's like trying to cover himself, because now it's a girl that's there, a little girl, and they kind of joke at the fact that she's enjoying it because she's a 38-year-old woman, and then they realize, oh shoot, she's a kid. We forgot. I enjoyed their restaurant scene. Mary J. Blige. Yeah, it was an overall like fun film. I really did enjoy it. I think more comedies should be kind of written that way. And congrats to the little one over there from Blackish getting that all stuff done. Like, I love that. But yeah, and definitely I think more films should look forward to having a diverse cast, but not making such a big deal it's a diverse cast or that it's a black cast. It shouldn't be the focal point of your marketing or your branding, because not everyone's going to find that material relatable. There are some films that I've seen off of, you know, not saying anything bad about the BET channel, but there are some movies that are on there that I'm like, I don't find this relatable. Like, that's not my character. That's not who I am. In fact, that's not how my mom is. My mom is she's yellow. Not like high yellow, like when you say like high yellow black people. She's just like yellow. I love you, ma. And don't you dare text me. Put the phone down. You're yellow. And so she's yellow. Her hair's yellow. Her toes are yellow. She's like a giant lion. Like like, so whenever I have blonde hair, I'm usually my mom. But my mom didn't act that way when I was growing up. In particular, she was very strict about my grammar, how I spoke, how I carried myself. She was very big on my education. I mean, this is a woman who had me sit down and study words out of the dictionary, write the words down, what kind of word it was, if it was an adjective, if it was a verb, 50 times, and then turn around and use it in a sentence. And I better have known it, because if I didn't know it, I was getting tested. She would give me her own test, which is great, and and I thank her for that. But that is the culture that I grew up in, not what I guess what's supposed to be a stereotype, which is one of the reasons why the Black Panther was such I guess a huge like whoa. It wasn't the focal point of like, ooh, black people can do other things. So it was just nice to see that this movie was just geared to movie lovers, geared to and targeted towards people who love comedies. Maybe someone's a fan of that particular actor. I think and did a great job doing that. And I also like the fact that every character on there's actually relatable. Like even the side boyfriend is relatable because he's like, I just really want to like be a dad. And you're like, whoa. Like it was a lot of fun. So I definitely have to say, if you haven't decided to watch Little and you're like, I'm a little unsure, you need to get rid of it completely, because I think the movie is definitely worth it. If it wasn't for Mezco taking me out on like these dates, I definitely would have paid money to go see this movie, and I definitely would have left definitely feeling satisfied. So for those who are just curious, you're like, man, I gotta check this out, make sure you guys go check out that film. It's a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you are gonna see that movie, tell me what your expectations are of the film. If you've seen it already by the time you've watched this video, what did you think of the film? What do you think of the actors? What do you think of the storyline? And then most importantly, who are you at 13 years old? And second question, if you go back to being little with the knowledge you have now, and you're suddenly 13, you wake up and suddenly some little girls are like, bing! That was supposed to be much smoother, but don't judge me. But like, whatever the case is, you're 40, you're 50, you're 20, and you go back to 13, being the age that you are mentally, knowing the knowledge that you have, what sort of things or life lessons do you think you would have to relearn as a kid in order to accept as an adult? I think, okay, so I think that's it. There's so much about the film that I just really enjoyed. I hope I really covered everything. If I was 13, I would definitely go back in time and go say, hey, like, I know you love your mom and all, but like her hair is straight, your hair is curly, this is how you do it. And condition. I definitely would have told myself that. And if I could give myself advice when I was 13, save up more money. That would be it. But I hope you guys really did enjoy. Make sure you click that button on to subscribe and hit that bell, because I'm obviously going to be doing more movie reviews and shows like Sabrina, etc., etc., etc. Well, I guess I'll catch you guys later. Ready? Whoop whoop!